Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm your host, Robert Jarasinski. Across from me is my wife, Carrie Jarasinski. It was Oscar night last night.
Woo!
You didn't make it through.
I almost did.
No, you were asleep probably about the midway point.
I woke up for the highlights.
So for those joining, for those keeping track of our who are religious about our release dates, obviously today is not Monday. Or maybe this will be Monday when we actually release it. It depends on how late I'm willing to stay up tonight. But we decided just how the craziness of our lives leading up to Oscar night, which is when the podcast was supposed to be released, it wasn't going to happen. We weren't going to be able to stay up and watch it and record and do you guys justice because we wanted to bring some insights back from Oscar night. So hopefully it gets posted Monday and we can still meet our Monday kind of date that we've committed to. But realistically, it'll probably be like a Tuesday release or Monday release. But we'll see. Oscars came. I was we the glitz and glamour. We saw the dresses. We saw the red carpet. Anything stand out to you, Care?
I think just mostly the dresses, actually, and the fact that you were right. The majority of them, I think you pulled it out for Mad Max winning.
I did pretty well. We do an Oscar ballot. I've been doing an Oscar ballot for the last 5 years. So there's 24 categories in Oscars, and hopefully most people are doing this now. It makes Oscar watching a little bit more interesting, I think. I managed to pull out, I think, 14 out of 24, which is probably around my average.
I had 2.
You got 2?
2 out of 24. That's what I was saying. It's statistically, that's really hard to do, is to only get 2 right.
So you're an anomaly in a positive way. It's
I
like
think so.
You're rare. It's as rare as getting. It's just as rare as getting a perfect score, really.
Almost.
So yeah, you're almost as bad.
I feel better about it thinking about it this way.
No, but the things that stood out to me, I think you were surprised hearing Mad Max called over and over and over again, which I had called. I knew that. While if you listen to the last episode, it didn't make my top 5 movies of 2015 for me. It's not my kind of movie necessarily, but I did know that it was going to sweep the technical awards.
You did say that, yeah. I even could tell that just from, because then they would do these little snippets, and then I was secretly scribbling out the ones that I had for future ones, because I picked like the old man one where I was like, oh, I bet they'll transform him, and then I saw the clips and I was like, whoa, that's gonna win.
The things that tripped me up were always those oddball categories. I feel like I need to start watching these Oscar short, live action, short, animated.
They all look really hard to watch though.
Yeah, there were some tough looking ones in that mix. The other things that stood out to me was it felt like it was rushed the whole time, and yet they still
went over.
It was over. Yeah, it went over at least half an hour, I think. And it's like, what can they possibly do to get on time? And I didn't actually like the how rushed it was because I felt like there weren't any great memorable speeches. So what are your thoughts on?
So if you really wanted to cut it down, the one point that was made around, like, it's not actors and actresses.
No,
it's actors. Right. Like, it's just the acting.
I don't know if there's a gender neutral
I did not quote
term.
that correctly,
yeah.
but
I know what you're saying. It was brought up that, if we're talking about diversity and stuff like that, why Chris Rock mentioned, why not have categories that are specific to...
Right, so what are your thoughts on being, like, it's just best actor?
Could be. That would be actually a pretty interesting thing to see. The other things that stood out to me was I was really excited to see Leonardo Dicaprio win, and I thought his speech was of the short speeches that you were allowed to talk more than just your name, state your name. His was a memorable speech. He seemed nervous for his is used to the spot. Everybody seemed nervous. You pointed out that for actors, not only are they typically terrible at the speeches that they give after, but also on the actual award presentment. Like, it just...
I feel like it's a prompter thing. It always looks like the timing of the prompter doesn't go with the timing of how you'd actually say something. So it almost looks like they're always waiting for the next thing that's either coming. So it's either too fast or too slow or something like that. But the timing is definitely weird.
You caught most of the opening stuff. I was kind of...
I know, that's the boring stuff at the beginning.
I heard you laughing at Chris. Did you find Chris Rock as an entertaining host, an engaging host?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was.
Yeah.
Although it was pretty... pointed at the Academy for some of the stuff around not having,
I think
diversity.
They overcorrected a little bit.
Little bit, but at the same time, he kind of like, it was a little self-deprecating too. And once you mix that with self-deprecating, it sort of balances somewhat. But you could tell there was a little like awkward laughter in the audience.
We talked about it too when Joe Biden came on and standing ovation. I was kind of excited too. I felt a little buzz. And then it just got serious, super serious, all like and out of the blue.
Thing. It's like one of those things. It's like all good things to talk about.
No, it was good stuff to talk about. And it's all about the kind of stuff that's going on college campuses. But I had to go research that. It's not like I knew based on the song that Lady Gaga played, which then hearing her play that song made me change my vote for Best Original Song because she put on this amazing performance. And I was like, oh, that's an amazing song. So I switched from Spectre and Sam Smith to Lady Gaga with that.
Did you get it then? Was that right?
No, it was wrong. It was Sam. I should have stuck with my guns, but like I had no context for what the societal situation was on college campuses with the sexual assaults and stuff that happened. So it felt like Joe Biden's comments, and I don't think anybody saw the documentary that song ties to. So it just felt like as someone who's pretty plugged into movies, I felt like his comments were coming out of the blue, and I had no idea what he was referring to.
I agree with you, but where is it coming from in the context of the night? It was a pretty heavy night.
It was a heavy
for
night.
Like social issues.
But, my movie that I picked, my favorite movie of the year, The Revenant, did not claim Best Picture. Very odd. Like, for Mad Max to sweep all the technicals and Revenant to do very well on the major categories and neither one to come out ahead with Best Picture, it just doesn't make sense to me sometimes. But I get that sometimes the sum of a movie is more than just the sum of its parts. Right. And Spotlight, I guess, as a whole might have looked more attractive as a Best Picture nominee. But I'm glad we chose to potentially delay the release of this in order to talk a little bit about the Oscars. Because after all, we're a movie review podcast.
Right.
But moving on to what we're supposed to be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about, now that the Oscars are behind us, we're forward-looking, looking through 2016 to our top 5 most anticipated movies of 2016. But before we do that, let's start off with our top 3 worth mentioning. So what it is of the movies we've seen over the last 2 weeks, and in this case 3 weeks because we had a little bit of an extended break, which of the movies that we've seen over that period of time did we want to talk about the most? They could be great movies, they could be terrible movies, but we share them worst to first, and we might not even decide to share one since we plan to wreck it to the other person or assign it to the other person. So it's there's some strategy to this. So before we begin, how many movies have you seen in the last couple weeks?
What I could recall, I think I saw 5.
You saw 5. I saw 8 for 3 weeks. That's low for me.
We traveled a lot this week.
We traveled a lot. We had family visiting. We had a baptism for our youngest daughter. Sleepover with Michelle and Edgar Navarez with their 3 kids. So it's been a busy couple weeks, but still managed to squeeze in 8 and you 5.
I'm curious what 3 you saw without me.
I did travel a little bit for work, so managed to squeeze in a few extra over there. And you were traveling for work too, so my dad and I actually saw a couple movies.
You know what
together.
I do when I do that though? I don't watch anything. I just like sit there and like bask in the silence. So I don't think I watched any when I traveled.
I think we saw some together, so I'm curious if there will be any overlap. So from worst to first, a viewing experience for you, or worth mentioning for you. What do you have for number 3?
For number 3, I had If I Stay.
I have If I Stay at number 3.
Third?
Look at that. We take a little extra time and we're in sync again.
That's right. It's so rare, and so when we do that, it's kind of nice.
Well, cool. Tell us a little bit about If I Stay.
So it's a very drama, sad movie that is about a girl who starts off in the very beginning of the story, and her family they're in a car accident, but it's in the very beginning of the story.
I feel like that's a spoiler.
No, it's not.
I feel like it's not a spoiler.
Here's my thing. It's not a spoiler if it happens within the first 15 minutes of a movie.
I don't think it was the first 15 minutes.
It was the first 15. I checked.
Okay.
Because I knew you would say this.
If you've checked, then all right. No spoiler.
I sometimes lie to you. But anyway.
So Chloe Grace Moretz from Kick-Ass, Laggies, Let Me In.
She was in Dark Places too, yeah.
I wasn't sure if you remember
that was the daughter, right?
That was the daughter, main character, really central character.
So she's pretty good. But anyway, it's basically like she's in the hospital in a coma, and she has this out-of-body experience where she's kind of seeing all the things that are going on around her and how all these relationships around her are unfolding. And I mean, she's like a teenager. It's kind of like drama central. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like that. What's that one with Mandy Moore?
Walk to Remember.
Like that kind of feel where it's just like, God, it's really sad and sappy, but
yeah,
like,
it was
you're
like
still
Teenage Ghost.
Teenage Ghost.
Would you say Teenage Ghost?
Oh, Rob, don't say it's a ghost. Like
Right.
no one knows.
You know, I wrote. There were other things at play. There was like a B story to this where she's a cello prodigy,
Right.
And there's a relationship situation with
Right.
a rock musician. So they're both in high school, or he's just fresh out of high school. She's kind of introverted in this extroverted family who's like hardcore, hardcore
Like
parents.
hippies and-
like I love the parents so much. The
I know you
parents
did.
were just amazing
I kept
parents.
saying that the whole time
I kept
we were
saying
watching
like,
it.
"Oh, they're
Like,
some cool parents."
I love them. I want those
and
parents.
she's this introverted cello player who's an
Right.
amazing cello player. We'll get to that in a little bit. But she's a little bit of a fish out of water trying to fit in with her family. And he's this guy who probably fits in with her family more. And they kind of he kind of makes the first move to like introduce himself to her. And he's this, touring rock musician.
You're very enthusiastic as you're talking about this.
I am, because it's funny. Like, I should have liked it based on a lot of the things that play kind of fall within my personal life of being
You did
a
like
musician.
it.
I did.
Oh.
Well, so it gets...
I could hear you like
It gets
whimpering while you were
6.8.
watching.
There were some tears, but that's not a gauge. 6.8 on IMDb, but only 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. I feel like critics kind of saw through this. And it was based on a novel, and you read the novel.
And that's the thing. I had read the book. Very, very rarely do I read my book club books because it just requires so much time. But I did for this particular one, and I wasn't sure how they were going to pitch the story, how they were going to do it a little differently, because obviously there's more to it involved in the story. And I think it stayed pretty in line with the book. I mean, I don't think there were any surprises here.
Did you like Chloe Moretz as the... Did you feel like that?
Yeah,
Is that who you pictured in your mind?
Not at the time,
Something
probably.
that distracted
I
me
don't know.
the whole movie. You probably didn't pick up on it. She wore a wig the whole time, and
What?
it really just—it's now that I'm mentioning this, if you're going to watch this now, that's probably all you'll notice. But her
do you
head,
know?
just because her head looked super big, and I was like, why does her head look
Did
big?
you
And then
Google this?
no,
You
later I
checked?
went, and then she had cut her hair for she does a couple other movies called Kick-Ass. She had her hair cut short for Kick-Ass Part 2, and she needed to wear a wig, and I just found it so distracting that her head was so ginormous. But
I thought it was just
she's
really
a good
full.
actress.
I thought it was really full hair.
A couple other things I picked up on that I thought was interesting. Obviously, you're a cello player. We have a listener who's got probably a few listeners who are cello players, but Joy Vigil wrote in. She's a cellist, and her sister's a cellist as well, Amanda Vigil. And she wrote in about this movie when we posted it, and she said that she found the cello playing to be average. And
I know. I was laughing when you told me that. I was like,
I hope she's
I'm
joking.
really bad. I mean, I know what the notes are.
Not that you're bad, but I was like, wow, that's
No,
some
relative to
hardcore
that,
stuff.
I'm really bad. Like I'm still at the like green book. I don't know. I know my notes.
You still get your stickers for every happy birthday song you complete, and like
Yeah.
basic songs.
I still have like
your
my
music
stickers
teacher.
on where to put my fingers on the cello after many
Well,
years.
I like the music. I like the classical stuff, and I actually loved. I might download the soundtrack for the guy's music, the band's music,
was
and
good.
he's saying all of his own parts. When I say he, I'm referring to what's his name, Jamie Blackley, who I haven't seen him much before, but he was in Snow White and the Huntsman and Fifth Estate, but haven't seen him much else. But yeah, I like the rock music too. So overall, like,
I don't think it was on Amazon
for
Prime,
free.
right?
Yeah,
for free
or
if you
Amazon
have Prime.
Prime.
So it's one of those I wouldn't like run to go see it, but if you're looking for something to
pass the time.
pass the time,
I'd pass the time for free with.
you
with
could
this
definitely
movie.
be multitasking and working while watching it. I
Yeah.
think.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't
I don't
miss
think
anything.
You'd miss much, except tears flying from my face. All right, what's alignment right off the
Alignment.
bat. What's next for you?
The next one I have, you did not see.
Okay, well then
I saw it alone.
No overlap there.
I try to do this now, and this is me trying to branch out. So
here's an interesting thing about you saying this is so you're not planning on assigning me this if you saw this alone, or I guess you still could, but.
I forgot. I got to think of one to assign you.
Oh yeah, you haven't done that math yet.
Hang on.
I specifically left something out that I want to assign you, so I won't even mention it.
It's interesting.
Until the assignment part.
All right. I've got to think on my feet here. So
Okay. I'll let you do
anybody
this
that wants
first.
to write it, they can't do that. It's not
We're not
live.
live.
Oh, man. Okay. So anyway, I'm good at thinking. I, for number 2, did Cake.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I had flagged this as a movie I
know
wanted
you did.
to see.
I know you
Okay.
did. And it was one of those where it was like, I felt really devious doing it because I knew you wanted to see it and you were gone on this
is
work
very
trip. And I
devious.
was like, this somehow makes me feel better about the fact
The
that you're gone
previews
for a week.
look like something that I would like is kind of moody.
So
but yeah.
it was really, really moody. So it's basically a story about a woman who is fascinated by another woman's suicide. She goes to like a suicide support group and becomes fascinated with this other woman's life because of her own struggles that she's going on and her own depression that she's experiencing. And so she's kind of trying to figure things out along the way, and she kind of starts tracking to this woman's life. It was really dramatic, and it was Jennifer Aniston as the main character, Anna Kendrick, who's in... Is it Up in the Air?
Oh, Anna Kendrick's in this?
That's
yeah,
the
Up
one
in
from
the
Up in
Air.
the Air.
Yeah, she's
I don't even know where I
Perfect.
pulled that out of. That just came to me.
You didn't write. You don't have that one
No.
written down? Oh, and very impressive. Anna Kendrick.
Gosh. And then Sam Worthington, who I like.
Sam Worthington.
I like him quite a bit.
Nice.
So it's a little bit
Did he have the accent?
He had the accent.
Okay.
Well, now that I think back, I think I think he actually tried to do an American thing. Now that I think back. I don't know.
Sam Worthington, mostly probably from Avatar and Terminator. Some of the Terminator
he had the
reboots.
the scruff thing going on in the movie, which was nice.
He's a handsome guy.
Yeah, and so it was. So I watched it on Amazon
or Netflix.
No, I saw this one on Amazon.
Was it on Prime for free too?
Yeah.
Okay, it's on Netflix for free too, I think.
Oh, okay. So. I hope I didn't pay for it. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope not either.
So
coming out of your budget.
Yeah. So. It was just a tough one, again, because it was really heavy for Jennifer Aniston. And this sounds bad, but you want to just love her as this lovable character, and you want to see her as this, like, kind of Rachel McAdams type character. But unfortunately for me, she's really been typecasted as far as her character and who she should be. So playing this really, really sad character in this really sad situation that she's been put in, it didn't hit for me as much. Like, I almost wish it was the same story, but even casted with somebody different.
So you don't like her playing off type very much?
I don't as much. Like, I just like her who she is. I don't know. I shouldn't say that but I mean, I think that's what I want her as. So this was sad. I mean, this was very sad, very kind of tough movie to watch.
I was just going through her bio of movies and trying to pick the things that are off type, but you remember Derailed. She played off type a little bit there.
Yeah, she did.
And there's the movie that I would maybe even recommend you seeing is The Good Girl.
I think I saw that.
Very off type.
I think I saw
Jake
Good Girl.
Gyllenhaal in there and whatnot.
I don't know.
But yeah, you like Jennifer Aniston.
It's like the bubbly. I like Friends Jennifer Aniston, and that's like I don't even want to say that. I admit that because I feel bad about it. But this was. I think I would have liked it if it was a different character, and it was really good. I put it second, so I put it again above. If I say, I think it's one worth seeing.
Okay, I'll have to check it out on my own time.
It's a 6.5.
Okay,
on IMDb.
Very nice.
What's your number two?
Number two for me. I'm curious. Who does number two work for? I have People, Places, Things.
Interesting.
No, nothing on your list. Not on your list. We saw it together.
It's my number one.
Yes, alignment, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, if you don't mind, I will expand on this one. Yeah, elaborate on this. It got a 6.9 on IMDb, 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, so pretty even keeled across the board, which fit into my take on this movie too. Short, hour 25 minutes, so easy way to pass the time. Written and directed by James C. Strauss. Again, People, Places, Things. Yeah, it stars Jermaine Clement, so if you're a fan of Flight of the Conchords, which if you're not, you should be. It's funny stuff. Some other actresses as well, Regina Hall, Jessica Williams, don't know much about them. But the synopsis is really just this newly single father of two, single not because of tragedy necessarily, but just kind of it's a separation, right?
First 15 minutes.
First 15 minutes, so it's cool to talk about that. And he's this kind of eccentric graphic novelist, kind of living in his own mind a little bit, and he has these young twin daughters. And he's also teaching on the side. He's a graphic novelist. It's just kind of a life story of kind of going through a separation. And I just found it like subtly amusing, not overtly amusing. And it's my type of humor where I'm laughing at little. It's all
him. He's the humor.
Yeah, it's all these side comments, like little side comments. So if you're not paying attention, you'll miss.
Sure.
It's not overt in your face, like fall down, like laughter.
And it's even more in like his expressions.
Yes.
Which tell more of a story. Like he's just a really good animated face.
And he's kind of the... I don't want to say Woody. It's kind of Woody Allen-ish in this, not Woody Allen, but self-deprecating and like very quiet.
Right.
Quiet. Self-deprecation is kind of how it is, and it was funny. It was enjoyable, and I'm gonna think about this movie. Netflix has been pushing it on me for a long time. It's been showing up number one on my feed. So we finally gave it a chance while we were in New York, and I think we're not allowed to talk about it, but I thought that we probably would have enjoyed it. So it's great that it made your number one as well.
So the only thing that was the downside for this one for me was the wife. I found super annoying. She was super annoying.
Do you feel like that was just good?
Was it good acting or is she super annoying? I don't know.
And was she written in such a way where, so her character, the wife's character, and now I'm going to offend someone if someone identifies with this, but that person is my least favorite type of person, the wife.
She's just like
people, places, things.
The me, like, oh, everything's about me and everything should go my way and everyone has to do everything to make me happy. And it's like,
and it's not like he had his life together either necessarily. No. So, but like at the same time, it's like, oh, that's
everything's his fault. Like everything that's ever gone wrong. I know.
So I immediately,
and like her face started to annoy me. Like it was like, wow. Yeah. Like every time she talked, I was like, God.
So many good scenes that just as I think back.
What was that one that you kept saying over and over and over again after it was over?
The pork chop.
The pork chop.
It was funny.
Oh yeah, he was like, the pork chops were amazing. Yeah, and she was like, it was swordfish or something.
It's something we can't.
We can't. We're not that funny. No,
like we're not that funny in the timing and the space. No, it was pretty funny. Yeah, it was funny. But it's Flight of the Conchords. It's not that kind of humor, but definitely if you like Jermaine Clement, looking for it's a great way to pass the time for free, especially for free. I would highly recommend if you're I think this is kind of broad spectrum movie where I think a lot of people could probably enjoy it. All right, well, drum roll for our number ones. What's your number one? Mine's definitely my
number one.
Oh, that was your number one. So I got to go again?
Yeah.
2 in a row. Well, this is one that I saw with my dad, and it was
what?
Yeah, a 2015 movie. And actually, you saw I have 2 movies, and there's a reason for it.
You can't do that.
No, there's a reason for it. It's a companion piece, but I'll get to it. The movie that I have, number one, that I watched in the last couple weeks was Everest. Everest, released in 2015. I'm sad that I didn't see it sooner. It might have even made top 10 for me all time for 2015, or top not all time, top 10 for 2015. It gets a 7.1 on IMDb and a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Was this the one where I thought this was the one that I started to watch and I fell asleep.
So that's Meru.
Oh, Meru.
And I have that as
Is it similar, climbing the mountain?
No, so Meru is a documentary.
And Everest is a movie. Okay.
I recommend watching Everest immediately. Okay. Go find Everest, pay for it. It's worth paying for on Amazon. Go watch it, and then go watch Meru right afterwards for free, because you'll get your kicks on Everest, and then you'll get interested in wanting to know so much about kind of what happened. So let me walk you through what this is. It's based on a true story written by Outsider magazine writer John Krakauer's book Into Thin Air and Beck Weathers' book Left for Dead. So Everest, right? Probably one of the most treacherous mountains ever. I have some notes here about it. It's based on true events in the 90s, but in 1924, so George Mallory was the first person to attempt to really climb it that we know of in 1924. Disappeared, never was found again until 1999, where his body was found 200 meters from the summit. So they found his body 75 years later, like 200 meters from the top of the summit. So that failed attempt there. And then people have died between then and now trying to do this summit. In the 50s, finally, Sir Edmund Hillary and his Sherpa, Tenzing Norgay, and I mentioned the Sherpas by name because the Sherpas are really the most incredible people.
They're the hard workers.
They're the ones who are actually doing everything and getting people up and down safely. They were the first to summit Everest. So that's the 50s. And then after the 50s, people were trying, like professional climbers were trying this and dying. And there were lots of deaths up until like the late 80s and early 90s, where this really experienced climber decided to commercialialize this and open up the idea of climbing Everest to a more wider population. So now you had amateur.
What's the insurance look like on that?
Oh, I have no idea. But
do you have to sign a waiver?
I forget what it was. I think it was like 10 grand or no, 60 grand. Excuse me. Is 60 grand, I think, is what they said in the movie, to be this, like, so if I want to go climb Everest, I can go climb Everest right now for 60 grand. And they made it seem it was safe and everything like that. Well, if you do, I mean, yeah, it's amazing to watch. It's amazing.
So wait, is it a documentary or no?
No, it's based on true story. It's a movie based on true story. Let me tell you.
The main person.
Let me go through the list of people in this movie, okay? You have Josh Brolin, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wait, hang on, I have to picture these people.
Okay, Josh Brolin.
Wait.
Picture. You just saw him in Two Country for Old Men.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Keira Knightley, Robin Wright, Sam Worthington, who you just mentioned, John Hawkes, who you probably won't remember. It really goes on and on, but truly the star is Jason Clarke, who was most recently in Terminator Genesis. He starts as the central character, this kind of conservative, not super risk taker type of mountaineer, and he has this group of like 20 amateurs he's taking up. And there's other groups of these professionals who are trying to make money taking amateurs up Everest. And it's become this big thing because there weren't any tragedies up until the point of this movie. And it is shot on Everest. It's using, the IMAX footage. It looks incredible. Like, it looks beautiful, and you suffer through every part of this movie. And it got me so interested in this mountain climbing that... Is
it done via, like...
I don't know how it was done.
What are those head cams called?
No, it's like, no head cams.
Like, what are those GoPros?
No, there's no GoPros. It's very much traditional filmmaking, but beautiful filmmaking, scenic landscapes. You're right there with them, climbing Everest, looking down. And then fast forward to Meru, which I highly recommend you can find for free. So I think it's on Amazon for free right now. Meru is about an even more incredible mountain that has never been summited, maybe hasn't been summited. Named Meru. And this is a documentary shot by one of the three people who are trying to summit it. And they go through some hard stuff too in trying to make this first attempt. And maybe they're successful, maybe not. But if you love Everest, go quickly right away and then watch Meru. Highly, highly recommend it.
So that was your number one.
That was my number one. And I also saw some movie. It's funny we didn't talk about Deadpool. We saw Deadpool.
Yeah, why didn't you mention Deadpool? You put If I Stay over Deadpool.
So here's the thing with theater movies, and we kind of talked a little bit about this. I feel like I need to start separating theater movies because it's a different class of movie in the sense where you're paying theater money versus you're paying, rental money.
So all else equal, because If I Stay was free and you paid for Deadpool, you would have rather seen If I Stay.
I'd still say Deadpool was better than If I Stay, even paying for it. Deadpool's been a massive hit. 3 weeks in a row, it's number one. It's breaking all sorts of box office records for an R movie, and it's probably going to spur a whole lot of R-rated comic book movies, which I don't mind. I kind of like a little bit of a comic book with an edge. But I'm debating whether or not going forward, like if I start seeing more theater movies, which is what I'd like to do, I want to be able to provide our audience with like what I need to see more theater movies and kind of create its own category. And I'll go through them quick, but like see it in theaters or wait for the tape.
So what would you say for Deadpool?
I'd say see it in theaters. Catch on. Not because it's even worthy of it. I think it might be. It's like on the edge for me. But I think just because jump on the bandwagon, everybody else is seeing it. I feel like people should go see it too for something. It's crass and obnoxious, but it's.
I fell asleep.
During Deadpool?
I didn't want to tell you that.
It was a late movie.
So you
were a little inebriated.
So you overfed me. You like stuffed me with food and booze, and then you're like, "Hey, let's go stay up past 9:30 and watch a movie." I was so tired, and I was like willing myself to stay awake. And then when it was over, I was like, "Yeah, I think I made it." And then I realized later I have no idea what happened in that movie.
I have one more or two more movies. I won't talk about one because it might be one that I wreck you. The other movie I saw was actually the Steve Jobs movie, which Dwayne Jarrell loved Michael Fassbender in it. I loved it too. I loved Michael in it too, and I love Kate Winslet doing their thing. I just didn't. It probably was better than If I Stay, but I just didn't feel like talking about it because I feel like everybody knows about it. So I wanted to bring in some movies that people hadn't heard, and you have to pay for it. What else? Did you have anything else that you saw?
No.
Okay. Well, remember, you can find more details about all the movies we've watched at our website, alternateendingpod.com. That's alternateendingpod.com. When we come back, most anticipated movies of 2016. Welcome back to Alternate Ending. Now, for our most anticipated movies of 2016, what was your criteria for this, Care? That's what I'm interested in.
So I went through a bunch of movies.
Mm-hmm. And a bunch. What's a bunch?
Like 12.
12 movies.
I did.
Setting the bar high.
Setting the bar. So of those 12 movies, no, I don't know, like a lot. I don't even know.
Did you go through the list I sent you? I sent you a list.
Don't corner me.
There were, I went through 150 plus movies. I think there's about 180 movies coming out this year. So I went through I read through all 180 titles.
Okay, so I skimmed those 100. I did skimming. Cliffs. And then I feel like things just jump out at me. I feel like I kind of have this sense for, what's going to be a real gem. So I pulled out of those 180 that I skimmed 10. And then of the 10 or 12, I watched all the trailers and did a little research on the people, yada, yada, yada. And that's how I got to my 5.
That's very similar to me. I narrowed it down to 30 based on like buzz, actors, directors. I really, again, now being more knowledgeable that directors play probably a really big role, I kind of sought some directors out and just kind of were curious to see if they were doing anything in 2016. Disappointed and not see a few doing anything until 2017, but nonetheless narrowed it down to 30. And then I did the same thing where for the 30, I mean, it's a minute, 2-minute clips, trailers, so it takes up an hour. And from the trailer based with all that other stuff, some didn't have trailers yet.
I know.
So
that was hard.
I'm going on faith on some of these. And you're probably going to be mad. Summer movies is tough because I'm a summer movie geek. Like, I'm going to love all of the stuff that's coming out in the summer. So I looked at 12 summer blockbuster movies coming out, and I tried to narrow it down as much as I could just to pick one out of those 12, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably excited to see all 12 big summer releases.
Are they going to be one of those high school chick flick ones again?
No, it's a lot of it's comic book related because there's like 10 comic book movies coming out. So rather than going like making my whole list comic book movies, I try to like say of the summer releases, I force myself to just pick one.
So I sort of did the same thing.
And then like bring in some things that people might miss if they're not looking for it.
I didn't do that.
Okay.
But I sort of got it down. So within the 10, once I got there, then I was like, okay, I've got a couple chick flicks. Then I'm like, oh, I've got a couple scary movies. I've got a couple
scary movies.
Scary movies.
Oh, okay.
I like a good scary
flick. Do you feel like your list, do you feel you will be obliged when you see this movie to like it more now, or will you try to be objective?
I think we know the answer to that question.
You lack objectivity,
and I 100%. Really don't like to be wrong.
So this is now going to be your top 5 movies of 2016.
Ever, yeah. No, it's like because I said this made the statement.
I will really try to be objective too, and if these movies on paper stand up to what's in my head, like. And what will be on the screen, like I feel like these could end up being my top 5 movies. These could very well be.
So the other thing though that I know, so like I said, I wanted to pick out my like top by category, sort of. If I had like 3 or 4 that were kind of in the same realm, like what was the best of that category of film?
Oh, so you went more my genre
a little bit. So, but the other part I was going to say is, did it feel to you like there were a lot of either sequels and or remakes this year?
Oh, that's just been the theme of Hollywood.
But I mean, more than usual. Like everyone I looked at was...
Well, yeah, because now you have the tent poles that have been set up, and there's just a ton of... There's DC movies, comic book movies, Marvel has their...
a lot, even beyond that, though. Yeah. So we'll go into that. But
we'll go into it. I'll confess, I have a couple ties. And just gotta. I know.
This.
I'm sorry. It's going to be a long. That's why
I'm going to bed at 9 p.m.
All right. Start with number 5 then. What do you have as your 5th most anticipated movie of the year?
So my 5th anticipated.
And when's it coming out? If you know.
It's coming out this year. So
I thought that would be important to share. So I should have probably told you to research that.
It's not that important. This year you'll see it. And actually, because no one probably will want to watch this movie. But for number 5, I picked my scary one of the year, and I picked The Purge, Election Day.
Oh, you and your Purge.
I know.
You're obsessed with
It's like
Purge.
A guilty pleasure, so it's part 3, which is also makes it really bad. Actually, part 1 didn't do that well. It got like a 5.6 because this one's not rated, so I imagine it will be even lower. But
part 1 got a 5.6? I thought it was pretty... well received, like
5.6.
Okay.
And The Purge is basically a series of movies where I think maybe we even talked about them before, where there's one day a year that you can go out and basically like take down anybody that you want to.
I feel like based on your love of this movie that you have some deep-seated desire to go do this. Like you would love a day of the year where all crime is legal and you could just go
I wouldn't
nuts.
do it, but I'd think about it.
I'd be like manning the house down and getting the shutters down and be like, I'll be back in a couple hours.
One of those like masks on. I like those white masks.
Take care of the kids. I'll be back.
I bring my like boombox of really creepy music like they do in it. Yeah. No, I it's less likely that I would do that, but I would think about it. But in this particular one, I was even more drawn to it because it's election year, which I feel like is really timely. And so I was like, that. And I maybe in that case, I have a few that I would probably take down. But this particular one, I think they're going after somebody who no longer likes the Purge. Everyone likes the Purge, and so they're going after this senator who really wants to do away with the Purge. And so
because the Purge ends up disproportionately affecting more like second-class citizens.
Well, and I don't like it for that reason.
No. I'm saying that's the reason why this person is becoming elected. Yeah. Like it's not like the Purge is really equal. There's no crime and there's crime is down and everything like that, but it's just people living.
Yeah, you're making me sound like a jerk when you say that. No. Yeah, that's not why that I want to see it, but
no, I'm explaining the movie that it disproportionately.
I know, but it makes because I like the movie.
It's the wealthy people who are taking advantage of the purging, and they're taking it out on the poor individuals on the streets who have no resources.
Maybe I'm supportive of the elected official that wants to do away with the Purge.
No, I'm not. Oh, you're reading into my comments incorrectly.
I know. But for some reason, was really drawn to the first movie, and I don't even know why. I like.
You want to kill poor people.
Stop. I like the idea. I like those like apocalyptic type things. Like I like human behavior and choice and all that kind of stuff. So I was kind of drawn to the first one. The second one was decent, and for the third one, it was up against this or 10 Cloverfield Lane for me for the scary movie.
Wow.
And so I chose this because the Cloverfield Lane one looks like it looks like it's trying to be something.
Wait, but have you seen Cloverfield?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. I felt like you fell asleep during Cloverfield.
I did. Don't say it out loud.
Cloverfield Lane does it for you. Okay.
No, I'm saying that was I didn't choose it over that. But I think that one looked like it was not John Candy.
Goodman.
John Goodman.
Goodman's in it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just was kind of
looks interesting.
It could be fun. Yeah, but it's one of those where they do such a short clip that it could end up being totally lame when you actually see it. So I think
that looks promising. I was just checking my honorable mentions to see if Cloverfield Lane did not get mentioned there. Mike Garrigan did say 10 Cloverfield Lane is one of his most anticipated movies of the year. So
what's your number 5?
Number 5 for me comes out April 29th.
Very detailed.
Yeah, well, it's so people can mark their calendars for Green Room, written and directed by Jeremy Saulnier. And if you've been listening to me on this podcast, the name should sound familiar, and by now I will be disappointed if all of you haven't run out and gone to see Blue Ruin. He is the writer and director of Blue Ruin. This is a movie coming out on April 29th, Green Room. It stars Imogen Poots, Anton Yelchin, and Patrick Stewart, playing a little off.
Patrick Stewart?
Playing a little off.
Isn't he from Moby Dick?
Well, yeah, he did that, but no one knows him from that. He's known from Star Trek and is Professor Xavier from X-Men.
Oh, right.
But yeah, Patrick Stewart playing a little bit off type as a Nazi leader. So imagine this: after this punk rock band, you're a rock band, right?
Right.
Lower level band. You're just trying to get gigs. You don't care what gig you get. You could go play whatever. So this group of Nazis is throwing a party. And they hire this punk rock band to come play a gig. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, well, we're tight on money, so we got to go do something. And they witness something horrific happen, and then they get locked in the green room, and they've barricaded themselves in the green room. And these group of, muscle-bound, axe-wielding Nazis are trying to get in to take care of any witnesses that have bared witness to this horrific event. And again, go watch Blue Ruin. And see the way this writer-director builds tension. And marry it with this plot. And you will be as excited as I am to see this movie. I am so excited for it. It's a low-budget movie. It looks tense just watching the trailer. So highly recommend going to go see Green Room. I'm going to be first in line to go see it.
I haven't seen Blue Ruin yet.
I should probably rec it to you at some point.
You should probably.
Yeah.
You'd
like it because I think I told you that the older brother, Spider or whatever his name is from Home Alone, it makes an appearance in there. Not Spider.
No, you mean Buzz.
Buzz makes an appearance. Oh gosh, Patrick Stewart, Moby Dick. But yeah, but
who doesn't know Buzz?
But Buzz from Home Alone is where I get ridicule from you. Okay, what's number 4?
Okay. So number 4 for me was. Again, in the categories, I had a couple in here, but in the kids realm, I had the BFG.
Okay.
Is it on yours?
It is not on mine. Do I even have it listed? No, it's not. It's a Spielbergian.
I know. I was drawn to the trailer immediately from the amazing direction, but
I think it's just not grown up on kids' books is the reason why that doesn't.
That's because you didn't read till you were like 28. I don't
still
know.
Don't read.
You haven't read.
No. I don't know where this until
I know.
came.
I'm trying to redeem you there. But one of my favorites as a kid for books, the BFG, The Big Friendly Giant. And it's basically about a girl named Sophie who encounters a friendly giant who, despite his appearance, ends up he's a really kind-hearted giant. And the reason that he's basically not accepted by his other giant friends because he won't eat children, which sounds kind of dark. But I think Spielberg will do this in a dark way. It looked like it from the trailer. I didn't, as a kid, read it that way in the book, but I'm excited to kind of see how he does it.
He does. I mean, if he does it like E.T. I saw the trailer because I was doing the prep for this, and it did look very Spielberg. The same warmth that he has in his movies, but with that little bit of dark, like
good
E.T.
soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go see it. It's just I don't know. Like, is it gonna be for kids? Like, it wouldn't be for young kids.
I don't know. 12. I want to look into that more because I think I don't know how it's.
Or is it for adults reliving their childhood like yourself? Like, I feel like it looks like that's what it's more, because it looked it looked a little scary,
little dark, but yeah, it was up against Finding Dory for me.
Okay, and any big actors in it or voicing or anything? That you were
not one. The only one that I actually recognized the name was Jermaine Clement, isn't it?
Oh, you're kidding!
From Flight of the Conchords that we talked about earlier.
I wonder if he's the BFG. He'd make a good BFG.
I don't think he is.
No?
So quick side note: who is the guy that won supporting actor that you were like, eh?
Mark Rylance.
He is in it.
Okay, that makes sense because he just worked with Spielberg. So
yes, because I was like, that name. I'm like, that name looks familiar. But so he's in there too.
Okay.
So I'm excited about seeing that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. There's no wrong answers here because you know what? We don't know because no one's seen these movies. So
exactly. It's not rated yet either. So.
Oh, it's not rated. No, that'll be a devastating thing if it gets a PG-13.
I mean,
it would be
bad.
Well, no, they would edit. Before? Well, no, they would have to edit it out. I would imagine if they're trying to appeal to kids, is what I'm saying. Like they'd have to edit whatever gets that 13.
TBD.
Number 4 for me, March 18th. So wow, just a couple weeks from now, Midnight Special. Did you come across this?
I didn't skim any of these. Where did you find these?
You got to dig deep.
I know, I didn't.
So, just synopsis on this, if I could compare it to something, I would say it's like an edgy Phenomenon. Remember Phenomenon with John Travolta?
No.
He gets like...
Is that where he, like, the forks and knives would come and attach to him?
Well, I don't know if
he
attached to him. He got supernatural. started getting supernatural abilities.
I do. Oh, that was sad.
That was a sad movie. Yeah. This one might be sad. So this is written and directed by, and again, combo of writer-director when they're together, Jeff Nichols, who did Mud most recently, and a movie called Take Shelter. Mud you fell asleep to. But that's not a...
We can omit that from some of the descriptions.
It disappoints me because you've missed some really good movies.
I know.
It's a father and son who go on the run after the dad learns that his son possesses special powers. So it's a little bit like Firestarter, Drew Barrymore meets
the guy.
Who's
the guy that was all
Phenomenon.
White?
Powder.
Powder.
Little bit. I mean, it's much edgier than that. And it'll be slower. Like it'll be a little slow. Mud was so good with Matthew McConaughey in it. And yeah, it's a little like we're talking about E.T. It's a little bit like the government. It appears as after this father son, and the son is he's just this innocent kid who's got some powers. Like he doesn't know what's going on, and the dad's trying to keep him away from the government agencies. And it's probably a lot going to be about the father son bond and the parent child bond, and that's what really. It just looks really well done.
It sounds sad.
It's I'm guessing it might be. I'd love to go see it with you. We should go see it. March 18th.
It's a date.
All right, done. What's your number 3?
Number 3, I have Snowden.
Oh my goodness.
You're kidding.
Look at my face. Number 3.
It's really exciting.
Not only overlap, but number 3.
Wow.
Snowden.
Your face is really happy.
It's tied for another number 3.
That happiness
Wow, we like similar things. This is rare.
This is
Talk to me about Snowden. What did it for you?
I don't even know anything about it. Like, that's the thing. So remember when I did that 3-year hiatus from watching the news?
Oh, sure.
So
Snowden was the last thing you caught on the news when you turned it on?
I think it was within the news. So I'm kind of like, I know it was a thing, but it was a big deal, but I don't really know a lot about it. And so it's a CIA employee, Edward Snowden, who leaks thousands of classified documents apparently to the press.
No, it's not allegedly. He did this.
He did this.
He did this. And
so,
he admitted, I mean, we all...
Did I say allegedly?
No, you just made it seem as though it's like...
I was sounding questioning. I was only sounding questioning because I'm not looped into this.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be shot basically in a documentary.
It's Oliver Stone who does a lot of, he did JFK, Born on the 4th of July, Platoon.
Very factual.
Well, he definitely has perspective on things, so he'll probably take his own spin and kind of more of his kind of liberal viewpoints on it. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, and I know you like him. I like him
JGL
too.
is in it. Shailene Woodley.
Who's
Scott
JGL?
Joseph Gordon.
Oh.
I mean, him and I on acronym terms.
So you said his name twice. Nicolas Cage is in it
Nicky
too.
Cage.
Who I love.
I'd love to see him
really.
have a comeback in this movie because this would be a good movie.
I kind of think he's the worst.
But yeah, look at Timothy Olyphant, Melissa Leo, Zachary Quinto, Tom Wilkinson.
You know that Timothy Olyphant guy that's who the guy that you're like.
That's my lookalike.
You look like he
I think so.
He doesn't look like you.
You don't think so? A little bit.
Your receding hairline a little.
But it's based on the Luke Harding book. And the reason why this made my list, on its face, Joseph Gordon-Levitt wasn't enough to include this. What happened?
Is he Snowden?
He is Snowden.
Okay.
And he looks a lot like him in the previews. What did this for me was I heard that they moved back the date from like a late summer release, early fall release to a later fall release, which is meaning that indicates to me that they're prepping it for award season. So that to me was the
clincher.
The clincher for that. It's probably going to be it's
I imagine that it will be really
it's almost
good,
done,
yeah.
and people have seen it. And it's like, wow, this is good. Let's move this to award season. That's usually the sign. The early movie releases, as you know, usually aren't good indicators for.
I'd like to learn that. I put that in my category of learning something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like to pull out one where I'm like, I can take some
Very
info.
nice.
Yeah. What do you have next, or is it my turn?
Well, actually, since I had something tied for number 3, and it's around the same release date, it's The Magnificent Seven, which is a remake of an Akira Kurosawa film, and it's directed by Antoine Fuqua. So The Magnificent Seven, your dad would probably love to see this because it's an old Western movie. It's a Western that was based on an old Japanese samurai movie. And the Western is what most people remember as well. But Antoine Fuqua did Training Day, Equalizer, Southpaw. When Antoine Fuqua works with Denzel Washington, who is one of the huge cast that's part of The Magnificent Seven, along with Haley Bennett, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, Matt Bomer, Peter Skarsgård, Vinnie Jones, huge cast. When Denzel and Antoine are together, they make magic. Training Day was amazing.
I didn't see that one, but I heard it was good.
And Equalizer with Denzel was not as good, but just really good. Basically, boiling it down, it's 7 gunmen in the Old West gradually come together to help a poor village. Again, it's a tale that's been told a few times, but each time it's told, it does really well. The Western version that's based on the samurai version,
did well.
Yeah, well, the Western version is back from like the 60s. Your dad would know it. Like, mention Magnificent Seven.
Ask him.
He'll be like, oh, it's an amazing
I love it.
movie. Yeah,
he loves any gunman movie though.
But this one, just really well written, well done. A lot of the same tropes.
Is that one you would watch with me or watch alone?
I'd see it with you. I'd love to see it. Chris Pratt.
But would I want to watch it with you?
Maybe because Chris Pratt, Denzel.
I do like Denzel.
You know, little Ethan Hawke in there. Not so much.
Yeah, he's okay.
All right, so those are my 2 for 3. So on to number 2 for you.
So I'm toying back and forth with this. So one is clearly probably going to be better, but one of them I'm just really excited about. So which one should I put first?
So if it helps you at all, the next I have 2 for 2 because I couldn't remember. I said I'd go from summer blockbusters. I tried to narrow it down to one.
So how many are you down to
movie.
Now? One comic book movie you have.
I have. Out of 15 possible, I narrowed it down to.
You're rationalizing,
2,
right?
Tied for 2.
Okay.
Because I just couldn't pick.
I know you couldn't. You know what I did? I made the hard call.
You made no hard calls.
I made a hard call.
You made a few mentions to other movies already.
No, so here's my hard stance.
Okay,
my hard
what's
call.
your number 2? What's your hard number 2?
Captain America.
Oh, it's funny. That's not the 2 that.
What?
Yeah, I probably should have.
This is hard. Like, it's hard. You should have.
It's hard.
So you should have put this number 2. I think it just looked the best of the trailer. So I kind of broke it down to that.
Out of all the superhero ones that are coming out, this is the one?
So I compared it to, I looked at Captain America. I also looked at X-Men Apocalypse. And I also looked at Independence Day. Oh, that's not superhero.
Well, so that's kind of, I narrowed it down. That's part of my
Independence
15.
Day, but
I narrowed it down to 2.
That was on my 10, but it looked kind of cheesy. Then I also reviewed the details on... What was the other one? Suicide Squad and Doctor Strange.
Okay.
And I didn't like the feel of Suicide Squad, like the way that the direction was on that. I didn't like that. And Doctor Strange didn't have a trailer. So
yeah, it's poised very late in the year, and I don't know if that's just timing or if that's because it's going to get some buzz.
I still think I'm going to like Captain America. So really like Iron Man. I really like Captain America. So this one, what number? Do you have any idea what number this is of
For
the
Captain
America?
It's the 3rd.
It's the 3rd. Okay. So I don't know how many of these are this overlapping characters, but obviously Chris Evans is in it. Elizabeth Olsen, who was in the last one.
She was in Avengers Part 2.
Oh, okay. There's so many. It's really hard to keep track.
It's a lot.
So thank you for doing that for me. And then obviously Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., Paul Rudd. What does Paul Rudd play again?
He's Ant-Man.
He's Ant-Man again. Yeah. So it just looked really good from the trailer. So he in this one,
Winter Soldier was really good. The last Captain America was really good. They made it more of like a espionage thriller type, which I don't want to call you out on this. You fell asleep during the last Captain America too.
You know what? I'm going to start calling you out for things.
Okay.
I'm going to think of things to call you out for repeatedly that you do. I don't even know.
You could call me out on calling you out.
No, I'm going to think of something better and more incriminating. But anyway, for next episode, I'll think of that. But it looked like from the trailer, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like from the trailer that Chris Evans, Captain America, he has a friend that I think's kind of a bad guy.
See, had you stayed awake in Winter Soldier, that is the Winter Soldier. His buddy Bucky from the original movie.
Yeah, I know.
Brought back to
Bucky.
life in Winter Soldier.
I know. Yeah. So Bucky, right? Such a pain. So he really likes him.
Yeah.
You're judging.
No, there's no judgment.
So he really likes him, and so he comes up against. He's a bad guy.
He was. He's turned.
He's turned kind of.
Appears to have turned back good. I don't know.
He appears to have turned bad.
Turned back good now.
In this one, he looks like he's aligning with him, and Iron Man doesn't like him.
So.
Which is creating the Civil War.
In comic book lore, what happens is Iron Man believes, and it's just two different philosophies, and I feel like it does translate to today's world where no one's right, no one's necessarily wrong. And that's
is it like the philosophy of your heroism?
Right. And
heroism.
Yes, heroism, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what'll make it a really good movie is if they can really do a good job balancing the two philosophies and making no one look right or wrong. And it's like, well, I could kind of see it both ways. And Iron Man's philosophy is that people who are enhanced, like Captain America, and who are, they should be controlled somehow, like to manage their power so that they can't have, run wild.
Infinite
power. And then,
which is kind of ironic for him. But
Captain, well, no, he doesn't have infinite. And
no, but he's so
there
wealthy,
should be controls,
and he says,
but he believes there should be controls. And Captain America, coming from a time of World War II, where you had someone trying to put numbers on everybody and and control people, that doesn't sit well with him. So it's just these two opposing forces that neither one is necessarily wrong, but it's kind of like trying people pick sides. So all the superheroes end up picking sides. So you're either aligned with Iron Man or you're aligned with Captain America.
So I'm curious to see what's going to happen in that little tift.
Yeah. Well, I have two superhero movies. I went a little bit bigger for, again, that's a huge cast too and a huge bunch of superheroes. I went for the larger group of superheroes. So the two that I had tied for two is Batman versus Superman, because it has to succeed in my mind, but it doesn't look so great.
Is this why you messaged me the other day and you're like, who do you think would win, Batman or Superman?
No, I said who would win, Batman or Superman or Hulk. It had nothing to do with that, but that was just a philosophical debate as well.
It was a good.
And then my other one is one you mentioned, X-Men Apocalypse. And
it looks good.
That's from straight up from my 90s comic book collection days. I was really into the cartoon X-Men. Apocalypse was a very pronounced character there, and it's going to be played by Oscar Isaac. Not that he's going to be acting necessarily.
Oh wow! I do like him. That's the Yellow Shoes guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you like him from. Ex Machina. Yeah,
Most Violent Year.
See anything? He's really good. Anything with him is good.
Inside Llewyn Davis. Anything Oscar Isaac is in is worth seeing. But those are two that I just want to succeed so well for my childhood.
Oh, I think they will.
I don't know about Batman versus Superman. And X-Men is a lesser... it's not Marvel doing Marvel. It's Fox or whatever doing Marvel. So I just don't know.
Not to call back, but who is going to be... who's the Batman?
Ben Affleck.
Oh, it's Ben Affleck. Okay.
Yeah, and Henry Cavill. I
that
pointed
guy,
him out.
He did.
The big. I mean, he's looking huge. He puts on so much weight to play Superman. Amy Adams is in it as well, playing Lois Lane.
You're not an Amy Adams. I thought you're not a fan of her, right?
Jesse Eisenberg is playing Lex Luthor for the Superman. So they've got all the pieces, but it's just Zack Snyder, who did 300, which you like. He did Watchmen, which I like a lot, and he did the last Superman, Man of Steel. I don't know. I just don't know if he's going to... I already have a bunch of comic book friends who just aren't appreciative of the way he does Superman and doesn't follow the canon there. But
so who would you say all of your comic book friends are gonna? What one would they pick for the year?
I think they're probably most excited to see what happens with Doctor Strange, to be perfectly honest. But they would probably pick Captain America
over X-Men.
Over X-Men, over Batman. But this is just more of my childhood. I didn't grow up with the Civil War series, so I'm not familiar with it. I think it will be a good movie. It's got the same team who did the last Captain America Winter Soldier movie. So anyway, that's what I'm into right there.
Okay.
Number one.
So my number one.
Yeah, what's your number? Oh, there's a possibility for overlap.
I can bet $1 million.
If you did it based on, did you do it based on release date like I did? Knowing that award season is typically later in the year, towards the end of the year?
No, I did not at all. I just learned that today since being in this. So it was a good factoid. Thanks for sharing. Mine is actually coming March 11th.
Oh, so that's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign, no. But it already gets a 7.6 on IMDb.
That's pretty solid.
Isn't bad.
Depends how many reviews, but
I
sure.
wonder if you actually saw the trailer for this one, but it's called Hello, My Name is Doris.
You're just joking, right? You're messing with me right now.
I'm not joking.
I've never heard of this movie. I never came across this movie.
Oh my gosh. You're going to see the trailer and be like, oh, this is so cute. So it's
I feel like
Sally.
you're making up a movie.
I know.
Oh, Sally Field? Maybe I did see this and just quickly skipped over it.
No. So I just recommend everybody going out to watch the
trailer. This is your number
trailer.
one most anticipated movie of 2016?
I laughed through the entire trailer. It was so funny. So I'm going to watch it again after this and see if it's just as funny. But it's Sally Field and Max Greenfield. Do you know who Max Greenfield is? He's from Veronica Mars.
Yes.
He's like the throwaway in Veronica Mars guy.
The police officer?
Yes.
Okay.
Who keeps getting kind of crapped on.
Yeah, he does get crapped on.
All the time.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe I'll
he
think
bails
about
out Veronica
He's
all
like
the time.
third string. Yeah.
But he was an older guy in Veronica Mars, which was a little weird that he was even kind of...
He was also in The Big Short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. He's
dark-haired guy.
Yes. Good.
So this trailer is just, stop smirking at me like I'm ridiculous. This trailer is hysterical. So when I talk about categories, this is my romantic comedy / goofy film for the year.
So this is coming out March. Are you gonna rush to theater? Because this is your number one. You gotta have tickets now before they sell out. Should I go buy on Fandango right now and go grab them?
It's our date night for next Tuesday. I'm so excited. It's a blockbuster. Well, and this aligns with your whole thing of it can't be Steven Spielberg. So in this one, it's Anthony Russo and Joe Russo. Do you know who they are?
I think you've mixed up Captain America with this Hello, My Name is Doris.
Oh, I did. I read it.
Unless Sally Field is in an action movie all of a sudden.
It's such a long month. So let me scan back up here. So it's actually... Oh my gosh!
I can't help you because I haven't researched this movie.
No one can help me now.
No one can help you. Yes.
It's Michael Showalter.
Oh, sure. I know Michael Showalter.
Oh, Michael Showalter.
No, I know
I
know the name. It's escaping me what else he's done.
So it's funny that you say that because I wrote down in parentheses what has he done, and I wrote dirty comedies. So it's really funny that you know him. I
do know him. Why do I know him?
I don't know.
What? That's part of what you're supposed to
Well, no,
research.
I looked at the movies and I didn't recognize any of them. It just looked like dirty flicks, dirty comedies.
I'm sure I've seen Michael.
Okay, so you look at that, so he wrote and directed it, but it's Sally Field, Max Greenfield, and
he's Wet Hot. That's how I know him. Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah, that sounded like a dirty comedy.
It was a movie. Now that's a series on Netflix. That's why the name sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does
some stuff. Watch the trailer later, and I guarantee you'll be laughing. But Sally Field, who I love, I think she's a great actress. I don't even know how old she is now. She's got to be 70 something. She's a self-help seminar, or she goes into this self-help seminar that is inspiring her to reinvent herself as a older woman. And so she goes out to pursue a new job and a new career, and she basically falls for this much younger coworker who's 30 years younger than her. The trailer is hysterical.
I just can't believe that this is your number one.
It's my number. It's a 7.6, and it's just really cute. It's a really cute comedy.
Well, we got to go see it immediately. If this is your number one, we got to go see it.
I'm racing there right now. Yeah.
I mean, you're planning to,
The kids are asleep. We have monitors. We can just run to the theater.
Boy, that's a bold choice. And you feel this one will hold up, you think, as your number one movie for 2016?
I think people will really like it.
Okay.
That like a really good, funny Sally Field movie.
Well, you don't know because you haven't seen it. You can't.
I'm guessing from the trailer.
My number one, done with some research.
Does it have Sally Field in it?
Sally Field is not present in this movie. It's a movie called Passengers, coming in December.
Said that really passionately.
I did, in December. And that's a key
Isn't that like after
date.
The time frame that people are...
No, Revenant came out like
That's
the last day of the year just to make it in time for
But it did lose,
Oscar.
right?
It did, well, it won, depending on how you look at it.
When
It won Best Director.
When did Spotlight come out?
Spotlight came out
Did it come out March 11th?
No, it did not come out March 11th. So Passengers is a movie directed by Morten Tildum. You might have... Oh, you didn't watch The Imitation Game, but The Imitation Game he directed, and he directed another movie called Headhunters, which he's a Norwegian director. So Headhunters is actually probably his claim to fame, along with Imitation Game, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. No. So you bring two of the biggest stars right now. Like these are the top dogs right now in Hollywood. Chris Pratt. I don't know if Chris Pratt is, but
Jennifer Lawrence is for sure.
Jennifer Lawrence is definitely on the female side, and
he's like in the
side.
Like high middle.
Oh, he's very sought after right now, I think, just because of everything he's making is turning to gold. So anyway, and then listen to this. So you've got the two biggest stars, two of the biggest stars. Can we just agree on that? Sure. You have a director who's an edgy director, nominated for an Oscar in 2014 with Imitation Game, and it's a movie about a spacecraft traveling to a distant colony planet and transporting thousands of people has a malfunction in its sleep chambers. As a result, 2 passengers are awakened 60 years early. This is my kind of movie. Like that kind of synopsis and there's no trailer, so I'm putting this number one on faith, hoping that it'll pan out for me at the end of at the beginning of next year. But yeah, everything's lining up for me with this movie, with the 2 stars. They can pick anything they want. They're picking this. They're picking to work with Morten Tildum, and a movie about space. Like to me, that
kind of in space.
I know you're done with space, but that's my number one. So I hope people mark their calendars for December. I will be waiting with bated breath to catch this movie. Any honorable mentions? I'm surprised you didn't mention Jason Bourne.
I didn't see that was coming out.
Oh man, Matt Damon looks amazing.
Well, you know what? I think I did, but is that like the number 4? I know, I do.
No, so they went to a different actor completely. The last Jason Bourne movie, or is called Bourne something else. I forget what it was, but they're bringing Matt Damon back for this, and he's got he's all cut up.
I'll probably watch it.
Look,
for sure.
Finding Dory didn't make your list.
I said it kind of did, but it kind of hit too close to home. Sometimes I kind of feel like Dory. I know.
What was interesting, I didn't have this, and it was probably one of my favorite movies, maybe of all time, is Whiplash. And that writer director has a movie called La La Land coming out, and it's just too much of the same. It's a song and dance movie with Ryan Gosling, and he's a musical, but also dancing. And it's like, I think maybe he got lucky with Whiplash, and it's just, I don't know, it made me a little nervous.
But you'll watch it.
Tom Hanks is playing Sully, the movie about the airplane that went down in New York, and he landed the passengers safely. It's a true story.
Sometimes those are hard. Those are really hard.
Michael Keaton's playing The Founder, which is about Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, which could be an interesting movie. Birth of a Nation, the movie that got picked up in Sundance for $17 million, the highest sale ever done at Sundance, about Nat Turner, kind of the slave who led a slave rebellion. And then there's the fart movie. You didn't talk about the fart movie.
What was that called?
I
do want to see that.
Where the guy washes up on shore dead, and
he tries to sail a ship with his farts.
Yes, yeah.
I do want to see that one for sure.
I don't know if that'll actually see the light of day.
Right after.
I mentioned Mike Garrigan wrote in as well, Star Wars Rogue One. So there's a Star Wars, almost like a prequel of how the plans were stolen, and kind of, if you're a Star Wars fan, you're probably looking forward to seeing that. He also had Batman vs. Superman on there. Joy V. Hill had Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
I think she and I had some on the same, right?
She had Legion, Captain America Civil War. Yeah. She had Finding Dory, and then she, like me, she had X-Men Apocalypse.
I sort of had Finding Dory on mine. It's like a backup.
Well, good. So a lot to look forward to in 2016. I'm
excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And
we have to see all of these.
We will see all of them, because that's our commitment to our. Well, we have to see all of our top 5s.
Yeah.
To see if they stand up, and then we'll kind of go from there. But we'll try to be objective. But after we get back from the next break, we'll be going back over our wrecs, our assigned wrecs. So looking forward to coming back and talking about those and assigning some new wrecs as well. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Alternate Ending. Time to go over wrecs, my favorite part of the segment where Carrie and I assign each other movies, and it's a wreck with a W because sometimes it's a train wreck, sometimes it's a recommendation because we care for the other person. Normally it's the former, not the latter. So this past week, you assigned me 12 Angry Men, and I assigned you English Patient. So why don't you go first? What did you think of English Patient?
It was all right.
Just all right?
It was, what was it? You said 9 Oscars?
9 Oscars. 11 nominations, 9 Oscars. I remember, this was before
1996.
I
so
remember
you were
being in high school, like freshman year or whatever,
14.
And just hearing about this movie, of how epic it was, and that it swept the Oscars, and with 11 nominations and then 9 wins. It was a phenomenon. And I remember seeing parts of it, mainly just because I fell asleep as a high schooler through this movie.
It was like 7 hours long.
It was I know it was a long movie.
I really appreciate that because I can't even stay awake in like the 49-minute shorts.
This was pent up rage from the I Am Sam of 2 hours and 12 minutes or whatever it was. No, it's just you've been giving me these long sappy movies.
You've
so I was like, here you go.
You know what you've been giving me.
I've been giving you good high edge of your seat kind of movies. Yes.
So this, I don't even really know how to, you'll have to help me. I don't even know how to sum this up in like 2 sentences because it was such a long movie and there were so many different things going on, but it takes place in World War II. There's a nurse who comes along a very badly burned man on a train, and he's lost all of his memory apparently, but he can only recount the story of his past from like pre-burn. And so then she takes care of him and like tends to him, and then it's the story of that, but like it's paralleling this other story of his love during the war, which is really tragic, and that's the movie. I mean, it was so long, man. I mean,
what do you think people, when they like, what was so, why
what was
did it
the big
win?
sell on it?
Yeah, and I should have looked. You should have looked. I don't know if you looked at this. Like, what did it beat out that year? I feel like 1996 would have been I probably beat out. No, it didn't beat out 7, or 7 wasn't even nominated for. That was 1997. I'm trying to think of what was like 1996, but I bet it beat out. Like,
you look into that. Look into that because I didn't do the research, but I will tell you a little bit more about it. So you tell me what it was up against. But is it Rafe Fiennes? It's not Ralph. It's Rafe Fiennes. And then William Dafoe, Colin Firth is in it. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, Colin Firth. This was probably
He's
one of his
the other
first...
dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you feel like kind of bad for the guy.
Okay.
So it's a little bit cheat movie-ish, and it's a little bit affair, and it's a little bit war. I don't know. For me, it's not. There were so many things going on, and then there were all these conflicts. Like you said that people talk about it as being one of these like great love stories, and I'm like, there was like all this deceit and like awfulness. I don't know. I don't think if it's a love story. I don't know.
I thought it was primarily about like the relationship between the nurse and the.
Well, that got weird too. There was weirdness there. So she then, I don't even understand what happened there. Then she started to kind of like the burn victim, but also had like a guy also on the side that was living in the barn. There was too much. It was too much going on in the movie for me. It gets a 7.4 on IMDb. It was on Netflix.
It beat out, remember my favorite movie of best romantic movie of all time? Or
Jerry
best
Maguire.
Movie? Beat out Jerry Maguire. Beat out Fargo, which Fargo I think would have...
Fargo was better than this movie.
Far better. It's amazing that it beat out all of these movies. I would have picked probably Fargo or Jerry Maguire over that movie.
Yeah, definitely. I don't even know what to say to you.
Director that... Yeah, English Patient, best director.
Good cast, I would say. It was not for me. I don't even understand. I kept myself awake for this whole movie. I laid in bed and I was like, I thought I was going to fall asleep. I was trying to fall asleep to like will myself to sleep, and I stayed awake for all like 241 minutes.
You assigned me I don't know if English Patient will be considered. I don't think it's considered a classic, much like 12 Angry Men was. But you assigned me 12 Angry Men. It was an 8.9 on IMDb, which is number 7 all time on IMDb.
How was
100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's half the length of English Patient. So it's
already. Did you love it? Was it good?
I did not. And it just doesn't age well. It just doesn't age well. And
what happened?
So Sidney Lumet directed it, and before this, he was mostly just theater, like a theater director, like a director of people on stage, and which is probably like this was the year where movies were like 50s where the movies were like starting to become a big thing. You probably make more money now in movies. He was a pretty well established director. He probably tried a couple new things at the time that were novel,
unprecedented, right?
Like I didn't pick up on any of it because it all looked bad.
Normal,
cuts,
right,
bad.
right.
No, it just looked bad to me. Like bad cuts, bad acting, weird, like long.
But at the time, was it good?
I don't know. Like it's hard. I can't put myself there. But I do know that he's a talented director because he later went on to make Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon Network, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. He was making movies up until his death when he was a director in his 80s.
And when did he die?
Like in the early 2000s, something like that. But he was. This was his first movie that he did, and won a bunch of. I don't know if it won a bunch of awards, but it's about. And there's been movies about this kind of topic since. It all takes place in a jury room. Basically, the whole movie takes place in a single jury room where they're deciding on 12 men are deciding on the fate of this young alleged murderer, and guilty, not guilty, and all 11 start off saying guilty, and it's this one guy who starts proposing like, no, not guilty.
So what happened?
I'm not going to say what happens, but it's not even he's like trying to convince anybody, but it's just like just kind of going through and bringing out kind of biases throughout the process and kind of trying to get them to change.
Like it?
It's not even forcibly changing mind. He's just asking provocative questions, and it's like, I don't know, it's getting people to questions. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think, like, to me, this movie does not hold up to
the
today's
test of time,
like,
kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't think today's viewer who's not exposed to maybe more of a film historian or has an appreciation for film history, probably this movie would just, even though it's an hour 30 plus minutes, it would go so slow for them. It went really slow for me. The acting is just different back then. Henry Fonda stars. You might recognize a couple people. Lee Cobb is in it as well. But yeah, it's just.
I don't think anyone knows Lee Cobb.
Oh, no? Okay.
Other than a couple of your friends.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is all 12 men have passed away. All the 12 jurors have since passed away. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, I don't get it. Like, I don't get the classics. And this is just another example of that. And I'll keep trying. Like, I'm going to keep going through these. And
I'm going to give you another one in a minute, and then you'll see. It's a real
don't
classic.
Give me another classic. I'm going to try to get to the point, like, where, like, what year does it not feel like it's old to me or like
is it
dated?
1980? Is that the year?
That would be I'd take 1980.
Let's try that.
All right, well, what do you got? Because I'm still debating between two.
Okay, so I am going to give you a movie called Somewhere in Time.
Is this the like children's book movie?
No.
Somewhere in Time.
It is not. It is with Keanu Reeves, or not Keanu Reeves. Oh my gosh, sorry, it's been such a long month. Christopher Reeve. And Jane Seymour.
This is like a horse movie? Something about
Not
horses?
a horse movie.
I don't remember.
It's a playwright movie. And I watched it so many times when I was younger. And he basically has like a penny in his pocket from a certain year.
Why do you do this to me?
And it sends him
Why
back.
couldn't you have assigned me cake?
When he looks at the penny, it sends him back to another point in time. Well, here's the really like tricky part. In that time,
which he is somewhere.
Your face. I can't even read the synopses. It's he goes back to this time, and then there's a woman that he falls in love with in a different time, Jane Seymour, because when he looks at the penny, and then the penny.
Oh, the penny. Yeah.
Then he comes, and then he comes back, and it's like he keeps wanting to go back in time because that's where Jane Seymour is. And I think you're really going to like it.
You don't need to give me the synopsis because I will suffer through it and recap it for everybody next time.
It gets it's 7.3.
I know, but so what? So this 12 Angry Men got an 8.9.
Christopher Plummer's in it too.
Okay.
Another big cast.
So I was going to be nice and give you a quality movie.
No, do that one. Do that one.
No,
do the shortest one you have.
I don't know the times of either one of these.
Oh.
I won't do this. I won't do the bad one. I'll save that for another time.
Thank you.
You might find this one bad too. Who knows? I was talking about my number one movie, most anticipated, and I was also telling you about a movie that I watched that I did not include in my top 3 worth mentioning because this would have been number 1. A movie called Headhunters, and it's the same director as Passengers, which will star Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. It's a subtitle movie, and you know how I don't like that. This one I was reading. I read these subtitles because this movie was engaging.
So wait, this is the one you're not giving me?
No, this is the one I'm giving you.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm not giving you the one I have saved for later. I
think it's nice that you think that I'll read as I watch.
Oh, you'll read.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right, give me a little bit about it. No. Say it. I already forgot what the name was.
Headhunters.
Headhunters.
It's a subtitle movie. It's directed by.
Is it about job searching?
It is actually.
Oh, I was kidding.
No, it is. That plays into the movie.
I thought maybe it was more of like an.
It's a little bit of a play on words.
Okay.
But
is there death in it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Might break one of your rules. I'm not sure.
What year is it?
Oh, I don't even have that. That's all for you for next. That's
for
all for
me.
You for next
I got to
week,
report in. Okay.
Yeah. So
deal.
That's what we have, and somewhere in time, lost in time. You will travel.
See. You will see.
All right. Well, I want to give a big thanks to Mike Garrigan. The music that you guys have been listening to is all thanks to Mike Garrigan. You can find his music and more at mikegarrigan.com. He also has a blog featuring a lot of great guests, so definitely check that out. Also, check us out on social media, Facebook. Check us out there. Like us if you don't mind. We're posting on Twitter now. You might be seeing some of our pictures and our posters that are custom made. Check those out on our Instagram account or on Facebook. But most importantly, go to our site as well, review that, and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google. Make sure you put in a review for us if you're already checking out the show. The more reviews we get, the higher up on the rankings we get, so more people will find out about us. But check us out on our next show, which will air Monday, March 14th. We'll be talking about our top 5 box office bombs. So looking forward to that, and catch you next time.